Hello, everyone, and welcome to round three of the K1 Speed Challenge GP series for the 2022 season. This is my third race of the year. I missed January, but here we are, getting ready to put down some lap times and compete in some fun races with the rest of the crew and see if maybe we can put ourselves in the fight for the win. So, right now we're going out for our first qualifying session. This is Q1. And again, the goal of qualifying one is to just put a lap time down that will be good enough to get you in that final race. In many ways, you can think of it as a banker lap, just to get a lap down to make you feel comfortable and ready to really go for it in Q2 and kind of put it all on the line and put all the risk there. But right off the bat, you can see this kart felt absolutely amazing. Great acceleration, great top speed. The handling was tremendous. It turned, but it didn't really slide, which is the perfect balance that you want to see in the karts. And so with the tools, with these tools in mind, I was really trying to go for a good lap here. But you'll see I'm coming up to this guy who's actually, it's his first race in the series, and he spins out and almost actually takes us out too. And I think either there was something wrong with this kart or something was wrong. So we had to stop here for a moment. You'll see we kind of let some time pass by, but eventually they finally started letting us going underway again. But anyways, with that hiccup out of the way, again, back to this kart. It was the best kart I think I've ever driven in a qualifying session here at K1 Speed. In this session, I ended up actually setting my PB, which is a 21.211, which for qualifying one times is ridiculous. I mean, my goal going into the session was to set a 21.5, which I thought would be comfortable enough to get me in the top split for the race. But between the kart and I felt really comfortable with the track and my environment, I was able to put a good time down. So you can see these laps kind of leading up to my last lap are just all consistent, clean laps. These are all the 21.2s, 21.3s. Again, the kart felt amazing, so I was able to do this. But you can see I'm just trying to hit my marks, trying to get as many clean laps in as possible to maximize my chance of setting a good lap time. Some people think that they'll kind of have less consistency in the session. They'll really try to go for it on a lap and kind of take extra risks to try to get that incredible time. There's a time and a place for that, but especially in the first qualifying session, I like to try to just drive at 95% speed the whole time, so that way I don't really make as many mistakes. I can be more consistent, and I give myself more of a chance to set a fast time by just repeating the consistent laps. And so far that's worked out for me, so I'm going to probably continue doing that throughout the rest of the year. But anyways, back to the driving. The main difficulties in this kart were probably the hairpin. You do want a really loose kart in order to set a good time. And so sometimes, having a super stable kart, not that this kart was super stable, but it was more stable than other karts I've driven, could be a little difficult. You can see I keep missing that inside apex there, which is not where you want to be. Probably, losing a few hundredths, which doesn't sound like much, but in the grand scheme of things, it always adds up. So yeah. But anyways, moving on to the final lap of the session, or not the final of the session, the fastest lap of the session, which was a 21.211. You can see it's just a very good lap all around. I actually do nail that corner there, gain back that time I missed. These series of corners I pretty much hooked up perfectly, and what I really nailed in this lap was the final corner. Turned at the perfect point, was able to get on the throttle, no extra steering lock, and across the line to set 21.211, which is actually my personal best at K1 Speed, which is very incredible. So, moving on to the second qualifying session, we're actually picking up right towards the end, and the main reason why I want to show these laps was because this kart was very, very loose. I don't know if it's hard to tell on this onboard, but I had to really kind of change my driving style to handle this thing. A lot of it just involved turning in at different points, using the throttle and brake a little differently to try to get the kart to do what I wanted. Again, I'd rather have a loose kart than a understeer kart, or an oversteer kart than an understeer kart, I should say. So I was able to extract some lap time from this, but it was very, very difficult. And you can see we're actually moving on to the final lap of my qualifying 2 session, which ended up being actually slower than the qualifying 1 session by about 300ths. So 21.241 in this session versus 21.211 first session. And again, very clean lap, just hitting my marks. I probably nailed those series corners a little bit better than I did on the qualifying 1 session, but regardless, that was a very good lap to end it off. Felt really good. and I was able to put it across the line to put down a decent lap time. However, Cole Nelson absolutely showed up this week and set a 21.13, I believe, which is the fastest time I have ever seen at this track. Absolutely incredible lap, and something that I don't think really anyone on the track could beat this week. So props to him, putting on pole with an amazing lap, completely, 10 out of 10 deserved. But you know what? You don't get points for qualifying, you only get points for the race. And so this is where it all counts. As you can see, right before this race happened, they actually took out the kart he drove to get that qualifying position because, while Cole's a very talented driver, you need a good kart in order to set good times at K1 Speed, and it was clear that kart was, exceptional. So going to this race, I knew he got switched out of his really fast kart, which I was excited for. It gave me a little bit of hope. I felt like it gave me a bit of a chance. Again, his kart could still be amazing, and then not really much comes of it. But regardless, my plan of action going to this race was to put it on the line, try to be smart, try to, see what I could do to get the win, and go from there. See the race is about to start. Green flag waves, and we're off. And these first few laps, I go really defensive to turn one because I just don't want to let Ben behind me, who's also very quick. I don't want to let Ben behind me get in front. So I go really defensive, and these first couple laps, just trying to see kind of right off the bat, kind of where my kart stacks up against Cole's. But as you can see from that quick little flick behind me, Ben is right there. He is right on my rear bumper, not giving me any breathing room. And because he's so close, and because I really cannot afford to lose track position, I actually have to drive really defensively these first few laps, which allows Cole to pull away. And there's this kind of feature of driving these karts where if the driver behind is within, you can see he's really close to me there. If the driver behind is within a certain distance, you really have to drive super defensively, otherwise they'll get around. And if you don't do that, then you'll lose position. And the downside of that is, of course, now you're driving slower, which allows you to stay closer, and it's a really hard kind of, dilemma to break. So here I'm just trying to do everything I can to drive defensively enough to keep him behind, but also figure out a way to pull enough of a gap to where I don't have to drive defensively. And around this point, I end up doing that. As you can see, I take the normal line to this corner. And so once I was able to take that normal line, it was good. It meant that, I had a little bit, probably about the same, but maybe a little bit more pace with him, and I was able to now focus on getting Cole in front. So, now that I had weathered the storm with Ben, my focus was now set on Cole. And as you can see, his kart just so happens to be very, very slotty and loose. I don't know if you saw, but right there he missed the apex. Turn one, he missed the apex as well. He takes a weird angle in there, but I think he also misses the apex in his final corner. Yep, just a little bit. You see he isn't close to that wall. So we had the pace on him. My kart felt a little bit more dialed than his, and I was feeling good towards getting this car in front of him at some point. As you can see, we're right up behind him now, and going through this series of corners, I actually gave him a bit of a tap on the rear to see if maybe I can set up a move in this final corner, but in doing so, allow Ben to get back into my attack zone. So the biggest difficulty here is figuring out a way to take exceptional risks to get in front of Cole, but at the same time not making a big enough mistake to allow Ben through. So you can see all three of us are really bunched up. Cole is now having to drive defensive to keep me behind him. I'm having to try and attack Cole, but also stay defensive. And then it's a really stressful situation, but honestly, a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed this one, as you'll see throughout the rest of the race. So here, again, just trying to manage both the risk of Ben and getting a move done on Cole, and yet again, I try to kind of knock him out of the way. Funny enough, I try to make a move happen into that corner in order to set something up into the final corner, which is the only real overtaking opportunity in the track. And it just nothing comes of it, which was a little annoying. And it was about this point where I realized that the only kind of overtaking opportunity that I would have would be into that hairpin that we just went through. So this time around, instead of trying to go for a move, I settled back behind him. And I actually sent it up the inside there to try to get a little of a rest. It covers it off well, and I realized that there's probably not going to be an overtaking opportunity there. But anyways, out of this corner, you can see I'm as close to his rear as I am the entire race, and I send it up the inside. And in doing so, Ben goes up my inside, and here I thought I lost the place. But instead, I was able to squeeze him out, but then Cole comes back on me on the inside, and I'm just barely able to sweep out in front and get that position. Again, in my mind, I knew I had to make moves to that hairpin. When I saw I was running this bumper, I knew there was very likely to be any other opportunity in the race while I was that close. So, I sent it and got a little lucky. They kind of it worked out in my favor. I just happened to be in, I think, the best position of the three to hold the position, and so that's what we did. But anyways, from here, I had the lead. Ben didn't manage to get through on Cole, so I still have a lot of pressure behind me. But yeah, from here on out, I'm just trying to conserve my first position and take the win. But as you can see, Ben, super quick this race, right up on my ass. And I actually had to start driving a little bit defensive, as you'll see in the next couple corners. I'm not able to take my ideal line. I just have to cover them off just enough so that there's no opportunity. But regardless, the car still felt good, and I was still driving quickly. So it was stressful, but I wasn't too worried because I knew I had the tools to keep them behind. But you'll see, it's just a matter of just tactical driving, putting my car in the right position, just being consistent. And you'll see, we're going on the second to last lap. Funny enough, I actually set my personal best in K1 speed in this session. The lap that we had just completed was at 21.182. So for the first time in my life, I was able to get 0.10 K1 speed. It wouldn't actually have been fast enough for pole, which was just a testament to how amazing Cole's lap was. But anyways, here we are. White flags waving. Final lap of the race. I have just enough of a gap to Ben to manage it. But regardless, I didn't know what he was going to do, so I still take this corner really defensively, which is really going to be his last overtaking opportunity on the track. And from here, it would normally just be clean sailing, but this back marker, as you can hear me scream, for some reason gets in the way. Apparently he had car troubles. It wasn't his fault, but regardless, the race almost got ruined by that one lap car, which really scared me in the moment, but luckily in the end, it turned out in our favor. And yeah, that was pretty much the end of the race. So P2 to P1, really solid performance, getting a lot of good points for the championship. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time in May for round 5, where we hopefully will try and get another win. Peace.